You won't believe what happened in today's story.
What's wrong with this house? The highway narrowed into two lanes, pine trees closing in on both sides. Emily pressed her forehead against the car window, watching the woods blur. She was 12, old enough to know better than to whine, but the silence in the car pressed on her ears. No one talked much anymore. Her brother Sam slouched beside her, earbuds in. Their mother kept her eyes on the road. Their father tapped the wheel, a nervous rhythm that didn't match the music from the radio. They were going back to the town where he'd grown up. Back to the house that had been in his family for generations, though no one had lived there for decades. "It'll be good," their father said, as if saying it enough would make it true. Fresh start. The town appeared suddenly, like it had been waiting for them. Gas station, diner, a line of tired-looking shops. People turned their heads when the car rolled past, as though they had been warned in advance. The house sat at the end of Gray Lane, bigger than Emily imagined. Not broken down, not overgrown, just wrong, too still, like the trees leaned back to give it space. When they stepped out of the car, the air smelled damp. The front porch sagged a little under their weight. The windows reflected the cloudy sky, giving nothing back. Inside, the air was stale, furniture covered in sheets, the faint scent of something metallic, almost sweet, that no one mentioned. "Look at this place," their mother said, forcing brightness. "We'll make it ours." Sam wandered off to claim a room. Emily stayed in the hall, tracing her fingers along the faded wallpaper. She thought she felt a pulse under it, like the wall had a heartbeat. From outside came the crunch of gravel. A neighbor stood at the fence, an old man with sharp shoulders and eyes too pale. He raised a hand but didn't smile. "Back again," he called, his voice cracked in the cool air. "Didn't think anyone would dare." Her father's jaw tightened. He didn't answer. That night, as Emily lay in bed listening to the house settle, she thought she heard someone whispering her name. Not loud, not near, but from inside the walls. Part 2, The House on Gray Lane. Morning light showed the house differently, not softer, sharper. Corners too square, shadows too deep. Emily ate cereal at the kitchen table while her mother unpacked boxes. The windows rattled without wind. "Old houses do that," her father said, as if anyone had asked. He was already in his work clothes, already leaving. The new job was in town. Don't let your imagination run wild. After he left, Emily and Sam explored. The upstairs hall bent in an odd angle, like the house had been stretched. Doors opened into rooms that seemed slightly off, too narrow, too tall. One room had nothing but a mirror nailed to the wall. The glass was dusty but showed their faces too clearly, as though the light was brighter inside it than in the hallway. "Creepy," Sam muttered, shoving the door shut. The basement stairs groaned when they stepped on them. Their mother shouted from the kitchen, "Don't go down there until we clear it." Her voice cracked, sharper than she intended. By afternoon, neighbors began drifting by. A woman with a dog stopped at the gate, smiling too quickly. "Lovely place, been empty a long time." Another neighbor, younger, carrying grocery bags, muttered something Emily almost didn't catch. "Place keeps memories." Then she hurried off, eyes on the ground. At dusk, their father returned. He carried pizza, acting cheerful. They ate on the living room floor. The house hummed around them, pipes, wood, settling sounds. Later, when Emily went upstairs, she stopped. At the end of the hall, the mirror room door was open again. She was certain Sam had closed it. The mirror no longer showed her reflection, only the empty hall behind her. She blinked, her face returned, pale and uncertain. From downstairs, her mother called, "Lights out soon." Emily shut the door without looking again. That night she dreamed of the mirror, and in the dream her reflection leaned forward, lips moving, but no sound came. Part 3, First Night. The second night was worse. Rain tapped against the windows, soft at first, then harder, like fingernails. The house seemed to breathe with it, wood groaning, plaster shifting. Sam fell asleep fast, but Emily lay awake, eyes on the ceiling. She heard footsteps in the hall, not heavy, not her parents'. Light, cautious, she sat up. "Mom," she whispered. No answer. The steps stopped right outside her door. She held her breath. The knob trembled, not turning, not yet, just shivering in place, like something cold pressed against it. Emily pulled the blanket over her head, heart hammering. The door never opened. After a long while, the knob stilled. When she finally dared to peek out, the hall was empty. but the carpet bore small, wet prints leading away, child-sized, bare feet vanishing toward the stairs. In the morning, she tried to tell her parents. Her father laughed, said it was a dream. Her mother didn't laugh, she just looked at her too long, then changed the subject. Sam shrugged. You scare yourself on purpose. But that night, when the rain came again, Sam's bed was shoved tight against Emily's wall. Part 4: Old Friends, Old Wounds. On Sunday, their mother insisted they go into town. We need to be seen, she said. We're not hiding. The diner on Main Street hadn't changed since their father's youth. Chrome stools, sticky tables, a jukebox that hadn't worked in years. When they walked in, conversation dipped for a second, then resumed too loudly. An old classmate of their father's was behind the counter. Gray hair, red apron, eyes sharp as tacks. Didn't think you'd come back, he said, pouring coffee without being asked. Their father smiled, but it was tight. Town doesn't change. Some things don't, the man said. Some things stay the same whether you want them to or not. Emily picked at her fries. Sam scrolled his phone under the table. Their mother tried to fill the silence with small talk, but the man at the counter kept circling back to the house. Strange place, he said finally. Your family always had bad luck there. He glanced at Emily, then away. Kids especially. On the way back, their father was quiet. He didn't take the main road, but the long way past the school, the church, the graveyard with leaning stones. At the corner of Gray Lane, a group of kids were playing. They froze when the car rolled past. One girl, maybe Emily's age, cupped her hands to her mouth and shouted, "Don't go inside at night." Her father's hands tightened on the wheel. Ignore them. But later, when they were home, Emily stood at her bedroom window. Across the street, the same girl stood under the streetlight watching the house. She didn't move, didn't blink. And when the light flickered and went out, she was gone. Part 5: The Locked Door. The rain let up, leaving the yard heavy with mist. Their mother sent them to the basement for boxes. Only the top shelves, she warned. Don't mess with anything else. The basement was colder than the rest of the house. The bulb at the foot of the stairs flickered and hummed, lighting just enough to make shadows worse. Dust curled in the air, bitter on the tongue. Sam kicked through a pile of old newspapers. Emily stayed close to the steps. The place felt like a throat narrowing behind them. That's when she saw it. At the far wall, half hidden behind shelves and junk, a door. Heavy wood, black paint, frame set too deep into the stone. A thick chain crossed it, padlocked tight. Emily tugged Sam's sleeve. "Did you see?" "Yeah," he muttered. His voice was low, flat. "Dad didn't say anything about this." The chain clinked faintly, though neither of them touched it. Footsteps above, their father calling, "Find it yet." Emily opened her mouth to answer. The door shuddered, just once, like something inside shifted against it. Sam grabbed her arm, dragging her back toward the stairs. They didn't speak until they were outside in the yard. Boxes dropped on the grass. Emily whispered, "It moved." Sam didn't argue, he only said, "Don't tell them, not yet." That night, lying in bed, Emily heard the sound again, faint beneath the floorboards. A slow scratching, like fingernails on wood. Right where the locked door had been. Part 6: Whispers in the Walls. By the third week, the house had a rhythm. Pipes groaned at dawn, windows rattled with the evening wind, stairs sighed under every step. Normal things, their father insisted. Old houses make noise. But some noises didn't sound like the house. Emily heard them first, whispers at night, just under hearing. Not words she could make out, only the shape of voices. Sometimes from the ceiling, sometimes from the floor beneath her bed. Sam finally admitted he'd heard them too. "They're saying my name," he muttered one morning, eyes shadowed from no sleep. "Like they're waiting for me to answer." At school, the kids avoided them. A boy Emily tried talking to turned pale when she mentioned Gray Lane. "Don't listen to it," he said, then walked off fast, as if afraid someone might overhear. That night the whispers grew louder, threading through the walls. Emily pressed her ear to the plaster. They weren't random anymore. She caught pieces. "Open. Hungry. Remember." She jerked back. Her pulse thudded in her throat. Sam burst into her room without knocking. His face was white. "It just said my secret." She stared. "What secret?" He shook his head, lips pressed tight. Downstairs, their parents were arguing in low, sharp voices. Money, the move, things better left unsaid. The house hummed with it all, soaking it in. And when the lights went out, the whispers didn't fade. They grew clearer, almost conversational. Part 7, Folklore. The library smelled of dust and lemon cleaner. Emily trailed her fingers along the spines of books while Sam flipped through the local history shelf, bored until a brittle newspaper clipping fell onto the floor. The headline, Missing Child on Gray Lane. Year 1968. The boy's picture, black and white, unsmiling. Sam shoved it into Emily's hands. Look where it happened. Before she could answer, someone cleared their throat. An older woman, cardigan buttoned tight, stood at the end of the aisle. That house again, she said softly. Her voice had the rasp of a smoker, though Emily didn't smell smoke. You live there now, don't you? They nodded. The woman's gaze drifted as if seeing something far away. Folks around here used to tell stories about a borrower, not a ghost, not exactly, something older, said it lived where walls were thickest, fed on names, on secrets, children first. Emily swallowed. Borrower of names. The woman bent closer. That's why we don't say certain things out loud. It listens, and once it knows you, once it whispers your name back. She stopped. Her eyes glistened, then hardened. Get out of that house while you can. Then she turned, walked away between the shelves, and did not look back. That evening, Emily found Sam staring at his reflection in the hall mirror. What? She asked. He didn't blink. It said my name again, but this time it sounded like me. Part 8, The Birthday Party. Sam's 13th birthday should have been ordinary. Balloons, pizza boxes, paper plates. Their mother insisted on inviting neighbors, though half declined with excuses. A few kids came, awkward and restless, glancing at the corners of the house more than at each other. Emily helped take pictures with her mother's phone. She liked the shutter sound, the small proof that something was happening, that it wasn't just them in the house. The afternoon passed. Candles, cake, forced laughter. For a moment it almost felt normal. That night, scrolling through the photos, Emily froze. In one picture they were all around the table, Sam blowing out candles, kids cheering, parents smiling too wide. And standing behind them, blurred but unmistakable. A tall figure, shoulders bent, face pale, mouth stretched in something that wasn't a smile. She swiped back, forward, back again. It wasn't in the frame before or after, only in that one moment, leaning close as if watching. Her chest tightened. She carried the phone to Sam's room, shoved it in his hands. Do you see it? He stared too long, then he turned the phone face down. Don't show Mom. Why not? Because she already knows. Emily blinked. What do you mean? Sam's voice dropped to a whisper. I heard them fighting last night. Dad said it's happening again. From the hall came the faint sound of paper crinkling, like someone turning the pages of an invisible album. Part 9, Fractures. The photo was never mentioned again, not out loud, but something shifted after that night. Their father stopped coming home for dinner. He claimed late shifts, but Emily noticed the smell of cigarettes on his clothes, though he didn't smoke. Their mother grew brittle, every sentence sharp, every glance a spark waiting to catch. Sam withdrew, quieter than before, snapping only when pressed. He started locking his door at night. The house seemed to feed on it. The whispers grew bold, not just from the walls but the air itself. They didn't speak in riddles anymore. They repeated what the family said when they thought no one was listening. Emily heard it first while brushing her teeth. Her mother's voice, hissing low, I should never have come back. Later that same night, Sam burst into her room, trembling. It told me about Dad, about the woman at the diner. How would it know that? Emily didn't answer. She had no answer. Downstairs, a crash, a glass breaking. Their parents shouting, voices overlapping, raw. The house thrummed with it, wood shivering, walls almost pulsing. For a moment, Emily thought she saw the wallpaper ripple, as if the house were breathing heavier, fuller. And beneath their parents' fury, beneath Sam's silence, beneath her own fear, the whisper came again. Calm, patient, certain. Open the door. Part 10, The Basement Cracks. The fighting downstairs never really stopped. Words became weapons, doors slammed like gunshots. The children learned to move quietly to stay out of range. But the house listened to every syllable. One evening, when the shouting grew too sharp, Emily fled to the basement steps. She didn't mean to go down, just to hide at the top, but the air that drifted up was colder, like it wanted her. The locked door waited at the far wall. The chain trembled, links clicking faintly in the stillness. She crouched, staring. The paint along the frame had cracked, fine lines spiderwebbing outward as if the stone itself strained to hold it shut. A sound rose from behind the door, not scratching this time, but a slow dragging, like something heavy shifting closer. Her name came then, clear, whispered from the dark behind the wood. "Emily!" She stumbled back, nearly tumbling up the stairs. When she told Sam, he only nodded grimly. "It said mine yesterday. We should have left it alone." That night the chain rattled so loud it woke them both. Part 11, Lost Time. The next morning, Emily couldn't find Sam. His bed was empty, covers cold. Panic surged through her chest until she heard him calling from outside. He stood barefoot in the yard, clothes damp with dew. His eyes were blank, like he'd just woken up. "I don't remember," he whispered. "I went to bed, then nothing, and now I'm here." Their mother clutched him too tight, too long. Their father only stared at the house, jaw clenched, saying nothing. At school, Emily couldn't focus. The ticking of the clock seemed louder than the teacher's voice. She blinked once, twice, and suddenly the classroom was empty, desks bare, hallway silent. She stumbled out, heart pounding, and found herself standing in her own yard again, staring at the front porch. No memory of leaving, no memory of walking home. That night she and Sam compared stories in whispers. Both of them had gaps, holes where ours should be. "Like it's stealing time from us," Emily said. Sam shook his head. "No, not stealing, keeping for later." And in the hall mirror, their reflections watched them whisper, lips moving just a fraction too late. Part 12, The Betrayal. The night of the storm, the house felt alive. Windows rattled in their frames, wind shoved at the roof, but the noise inside was louder, voices overlapping, spilling from the walls like water from a burst pipe. Emily and Sam pressed their ears to their bedroom doors, listening. Their parents weren't whispering anymore. Her mother's voice, sharp, "You promised it was over." Her father, low and hard, "It meant nothing, don't twist it." Her mother again, breaking, "With her, everyone knew but me." Lightning flared, bleaching the hall white. The mirror at the end reflected the flash a moment too long, holding an afterimage of faces that weren't theirs. When the thunder rolled, the voices in the walls shifted, copying her parents' words, throwing them back in warped echoes. Emily covered her ears. Sam didn't. He stared at the wallpaper, jaw clenched, as though memorizing each crack. "It likes this," he whispered. "It's feeding." Downstairs came the sound of something shattering, not just glass, but heavier, final. And for a second, as the storm howled, Emily swore she saw the house flex, floorboards rising like a chest drawing breath. Part 13, The Diary. The next day, the silence between their parents was worse than the shouting. Their mother washed dishes with shaking hands. Their father left early, didn't say where. Sam disappeared into the basement, ignoring Emily's protests. When he came back, his arms cradled a bundle of papers, edges yellow and curling. "A diary," he said, "from the people who lived here before." They spread the pages on the floor. The handwriting slanted, hurried, growing messier with each entry. "The noises began again last night. They're louder when the children cry. Henry says we mustn't answer when it calls our names. I locked the door, but the lock is not enough. It remembers us." The last entry stopped mid-sentence. Ink smeared as if the pen had been torn from the writer's hand. Emily's stomach turned. What happened to them? Sam didn't answer. He didn't have to. That night she dreamed of a page turning on its own, slow and deliberate. New words scrawled themselves in the same frantic hand. "You are next." She woke to find the diary open on her desk. The ink still glistened, wet. Part 14, The Neighbor's Confession. The old man at the fence was waiting again, same pale eyes, same stiff shoulders. This time, when Emily and Sam passed, he didn't wave, he beckoned. They hesitated, then crossed. His yard smelled of damp soil and rust. "You've heard it by now," he said, his voice rasped like stone on stone. "The house, the borrower." Emily froze, Sam's fists clenched. "You knew," he spat, "and you let us move in." The man shook his head. It doesn't matter who lives there, it always comes back. I thought maybe it had finished with me. His hands trembled. When I was a boy, I had a friend. We played in that basement. We heard it whisper. One night he answered just one word. After that, he wasn't my friend anymore, not really. He looked the same, but his throat worked. He was hollow, and then he was gone. No body, no search, just gone. He met Emily's eyes. I never told anyone until now. Thunder muttered over the hills, though the sky was clear. The old man shivered, backing away from the fence. If the door opens, don't go near it, don't look, don't listen. But his warning came too late. Part 15, the door opens. That night the house shook, not like settling wood, but like something inside straining against its walls. The children crept to the basement, drawn despite themselves. The chain across the black door rattled violently, each link clanging like a bell. The padlock snapped open with a sound like a bone breaking. The door groaned forward. A gust of air poured out, cold, damp, carrying the smell of earth long sealed away. Sam grabbed Emily's hand. His skin was ice. From the dark came the sound of footsteps, slow, heavy. They ran, stumbling up the stairs, slamming the door behind them. But even upstairs they heard it, the basement door yawning wider, until it stopped with a thud that shook the floor. And then silence, except for one whisper, curling up through the vents, soft and satisfied. Open! Part 16, the hollow rooms. The basement no longer ended where it should. When their father finally gathered courage to look, flashlight trembling in his hand, the children followed. The black door stood wide, chain and padlock dropped like shed skin. Beyond was not stone, not dirt, but a hallway that sloped downward, lined with walls of warped wood. The air was damp, metallic, and every breath felt borrowed. They stepped inside. The passage bent in ways that made no sense, folding back toward itself, stretching into angles too sharp for a house. Rooms branched off, empty bedrooms with peeling wallpaper, kitchens with silent sinks, all familiar yet wrong. Emily recognized her own room, but reversed, furniture mirrored, bed unmade in a way she'd never left it. Sam found the living room, except the pictures on the walls showed faces with blurred eyes. Their father whispered, "It's us, it's all of us." The light flickered. Somewhere deeper, footsteps moved, not theirs. Part 17, the Doppelgänger. They found the first double in the hallway. Sam froze, the beam of his flashlight trembling. Ahead stood another boy, same height, same clothes, but face slack, smile too wide, teeth showing. The double tilted its head, movements jagged, delayed. When Sam lifted his hand, the other copied, but a beat too late. "Don't look at it," their father hissed. But Sam couldn't move. His double opened its mouth, and when it spoke, the voice was his own, low and broken. "I'll stay if you leave." Emily grabbed his arm, pulled him back. The double didn't follow, only stood there, smiling wider, until the darkness swallowed it. In another room, their mother's shape stood by the window, back turned. When she spoke, her voice was flat. "You always wanted to be free of them. Here's your chance." The real mother fell to her knees, sobbing, pressing her hands over her ears. The house was no longer whispering. It was showing, offering. Every shadow contained a choice. And the maze stretched on, hollow and endless. Part 18, the bargain. They reached the heart of the maze, a chamber without walls, only darkness stretched like cloth. In the middle stood a chair, wooden, plain, waiting. A voice filled the space, not whispering anymore, but clear, smooth, too close. "One of you may leave." The family clung together, flashlights shaking. "Only one," the voice continued. "The rest stay, that is the price, always the price." The dark around them shifted. Shapes lined in, reflections without mirrors, doubles without souls. They breathed in unison, a chorus of empty lungs. Emily pressed against her father. "Don't answer it." But the house was patient. It spoke their secrets back at them, each one sharper than a knife. "You broke your vows. You lied to your children. You wanted to leave them. You wanted to live, no matter the cost." The chair creaked, though no one had touched it. And for the first time, the silence between them was heavier than the voice. Part 19, the last betrayal. The choice came quietly. Their father stepped forward first. His hands shook, but his voice was steady. I'll sit, let them go. The darkness stirred, almost amused. Do you think it wants you? Behind him, their mother's face twisted, anger, grief, something unreadable. She clutched Emily's hand too tightly. Sam broke free, his voice cracked, desperate. It's me, take me, just let her out. He nodded at his sister, eyes wet. But before Emily could answer, their mother moved. Swift, certain. She pushed Sam back, stepped into the chair herself, spine rigid, lips pressed thin. I deserve it, she whispered. I always did. The chair groaned, swallowed her shape into shadow. The doubles leaned closer, smiling as the dark sealed her away. And the voice, warm now, almost tender, drifted over them. The rest may leave. Emily clutched Sam's arm. Their father stood frozen, unable to look at the empty space where his wife had been. The maze opened like a throat, stairs rising back toward the faint glow of their house. They climbed in silence, but the bargain clung to them like smoke. One stayed, 3 left, for now. Part 20, Aftermath. Morning came pale and brittle, as if the storm had scrubbed the world too clean. The 3 of them stood in the yard, bags hastily packed, faces hollow. They didn't speak as they loaded the car. Across the street, curtains stirred in neighbors' windows. No one came out. No one offered help. Only silent stares, quickly withdrawn. Emily glanced back once. The house loomed at the end of Gray Lane, still and waiting. The black door in the basement was hidden again, locked tight, as if it had never opened. But she knew better. She could still hear her mother's voice, not a scream, not even pain, just a whisper fading into dark. Take care of them. Her father started the engine. Sam stared at his hands in his lap, jaw clenched hard enough to hurt. The town slid past the windows, slow and gray. Diner, church, school, graveyard, same as before, but emptier. No one said goodbye. When they reached the highway, Emily twisted in her seat for one last look. The house was gone from sight, hidden by trees, but in her reflection on the glass, she thought she saw another face behind her own, watching, patient. She turned away quickly, heart pounding, and told herself not to look again. Because some doors, once opened, never really close.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to see more stories.